How much money do I need for a comfortable retirement? According to the Retirement Living Standards website, it's £50,000 for a couple, and using the 4% rule that would equate to £1.25 million, which sounds like a lot of money. Now there are certain things that we can do to negate that, and the main one is the state pension, which would involve checking availability and topping up where possible that state pension. So here I've got a couple age 58, one has full state pension entitlement, the other one has about 2/3 state pension entitlement, and they've got £900,000 of liquid wealth distributed between ISA and SIP. And when I go to model their numbers, £50,000, it says that they end up with wealth of £486,000 when they're 90. So it does pass under 6% market returns. And here is the wealth by type, ISA being drawn down, and then the SIP starts to decline in later life. And then I've also modelled what happens in terms of the purchasing power of their wealth, which actually declines by a lot more. Here I've got an age graph which says, well, they could retire a year later, and then essentially the nominal value of their wealth would stay intact, around 900,000. Retired a year earlier, then they're really cutting it very fine in terms of their ability to retire. I also model the sources of income. So initially living off an ISA, and then the personal allowance is being utilised by SIPs, and then state pension kicks in. Now what I can also do is try and get the money to grow a bit further. So what I can do is put more money initially, so between the ages of 60 and 65, spend more money, and then less money at the back end when people are less likely to need it because they've done all their travelling, they've done their bucket list. And here we've got £550,000 wealth at the age of 90, so it's a fairly similar picture. So when I compare the two scenarios, we can see that it is indeed quite similar. And then also what I do is I model the tax that's being paid, and I can just look to see how I can best optimize taxes and look at kind of like what's going on there, which I find really useful. So people are often worried about running out of money in retirement, and the way around that is really twofold. It is to first of all produce a very detailed budget, which would have your base level of expenditure to keep everything ticking over, and then discretionary expenditure on top that you would model, and then when markets hit bad times, you would just ease off on the discretionary expenditure. So you have a detailed budget, and then you use variable withdrawals of your wealth. And I've got a video on that. I'll post that as a link, and you can look at that, and that actually helps to prove how across various different market returns you don't run out of money, providing you're conservative enough and flexible enough in your approach to retirement. And what I can also do is look at different patterns of wealth. So what I can do is put all the wealth as a SIP just for one person, so there's now going to be massive tax impacts. And what we can see here is that there's just about some money left. There's a huge lifetime allowance charge, and I can maybe start to negate that a bit by withdrawing from the SIP a bit more aggressively. And there we go, we've reduced the lifetime allowance charge by doing that. And when I look at wealth by type here, this is the hit taken from the lifetime allowance, where when someone reaches 75 they fail that test because they've taken money out of the pension but not the full 1,073,000 that they're allowed. So that's why there's the charge when they're 75. So I like spreadsheets in terms of modeling things because they're very flexible, they're infinitely customizable, and you can see the workings and really pick it apart to understand what's going on, whereas a lot of these black box models, you've got to trust in what's going on, and you can actually be quite limited in terms of what you do. So one example of this model is that I can put in all kinds of one-off items of expenditure, all kinds of goals that I want to achieve in my life, and then just see whether I've got enough money to do that, whereas a lot of the black box models you can't do that. If you're interested in this model, I'll put some details in the description, and please